Welcome, everybody. Good evening, everyone. My name is Deirdre MacIntyre, and I am involved in this program. I was academic director, and I'm delighted to welcome you all here this evening to this academic advisor session. And the idea here is to really give you some advice and pointers on getting settled into the program, because many of you, I think, are new, and really to help you get the most out of your studies. So thank you for coming along this evening. There'll be, if anyone else joins over the course of this session, or if you have to leave early, don't worry, because we're going to record it. And if you have any questions, please feel free to put your hand up or, ask during the session. You don't have to wait until the end, though we will take questions at the end. And my colleague, I'm here with my colleague, Sophia, and Sophia is Administrative and Student Support Officer with the program, and Sophia is going to be assisting me, and will also take any questions you can type them into the chat box, and we'll try and answer them as we're going along. So just before we start to look at getting started and what we're going to cover, I'm just wondering how many of you are on your first module? Are the majority of you on your first module? Might want to give us a thumbs up and let us know.
Yes, I'm first module.
Welcome, Young. Lovely to have you.
Yes, this is my first module.
Hi, Mary. Great to have you on board. And feel free to put the cameras on if you want. You don't have to, but...
Sorry, I had Wi-Fi issues there. I think I have them sorted now.
It's lovely to see you, Young and Mary. Great to see you. And welcome, Alexandra and Tanya and everybody. It's great to have you in the... and this is particularly helpful if you are on your first module, because it's good to get started, and just it also, I think, helps you feel that you're not alone. We're here. Myself, Sophia, and the rest of the team are here. We're at the end of the email. We're at the email always, but also we're at the end of the phone line if you want to give us a call, or we can arrange a Zoom. We're always here to support you. So that's lovely. Some of you may not be on your first module, and that's fine. So sometimes people have missed this session in their first module and are playing catch up, and that's fine too. But it is very helpful in getting off to a good start. So just in terms of what we're going to cover this evening then, really the focus is about getting the most out of your module. I'm going to give you some general pointers at that. Going to look at some of the tasks involved in the module, the key things where you have to interact or, give a response, and part of the learning journey is the learning activities. So we're going to be looking at those, what's expected and how you might tackle those, looking at guidance around your assignment, because that's mission critical. That's 100% of your marks are for the assignment. So that's really important. Then we're going to be looking at academic integrity and referencing, some information about the library, general support information, and we're going to talk about if you might want to get involved as a student representative, and then take any questions. But as I said, please do let us know if you have any questions as we go along, and you can type them into the chat as well. Just to say that this is also for those who might be hard of hearing or have any issues, this is also being captured in by closed captioning, just in terms of accessibility. So in terms of getting the most out of the module, we would always say that in Irish we say tú smach is lach na hobra, and what that means is that a good start is half the work. Okay. And you're only a few weeks into your program now, but it's really ripe to set the scene for success. And in order to do that, what we suggest you do is make sure that you explore, first of all of the resources and the supports that are available to you on your home page. Continue to familiarize yourself with Moodle. What there is on your home page when you log into your first module, there's a wealth of resources. There's little videos, there's your module handbook, there's the participant handbook, which describes the whole program, and there's the module guide, which tells you about the specific module that you're on. So read those, and sometimes you might want to save that on your desktop so that you have it for ready there anytime you want to refer to it. Some people like to print it off. Whichever suits you best, your own style of learning, be sure to do that. The module guide in particular will have lots of really important information. It'll help orient you to what is expected of you, key readings, etc. But on the home page, everything you need to get started is there. So spend a good chunk of time just exploring and navigating that. Remember that there's nothing, you can't break anything. Okay, so sometimes people, when they come on, if they're not familiar with online learning, they're kind of a little bit hesitant and afraid to try different things. You're not going to break the system. There's nothing you can do that's wrong. Just spend a bit of time getting to grips with it. Engage with your tutor, engage with your classmates, contribute to the discussions and the learning, get reading, researching, and reflecting. Plan your study and your assignment, and know critical dates and deadlines. These are the key things, just put your timetable up on your notice board wherever you study. Set the scene for success by making sure that everything you need is there, and that you can, there's nothing kind of missing, and that you're familiar with all of the expectations, the supports, the resources, etc. Okay, when you log in and when you start to work through the online material, so first of all, you'll already be familiar with the fact that we teach in the way that we teach is mostly through your engagement with the learning materials and with the learning activities. Through the learning materials, you're guided through key content, concepts, literature, and research. And then the learning activities are a way that we have of kind of scaffolding your learning, preparing you for the assignment, and getting you to engage deeper with the thoughts, the concepts, the learning, the research, but also engaging in a collaborative discussion with your tutor and with your classmates. So in terms of these online learning activities, there are 8 of these for the 8 of these overall. And while you're not graded on these, they are kind of key to building your learning, to preparing you for the assignment. And they're a great way for you to communicate with your fellow students about what you've learned on each unit, and also a great way for your tutors to follow your progress through the course. So although you're not marked on them, it's absolutely integral that you complete them properly in order to prepare yourself for your final assignment at the end of the module, and in order to kind of deepen your own learning and engagement with the course. And in terms of a good learning activity, what we really want to see, or what your tutor wants to see, is evidence of a thorough understanding of the unit content. So generally speaking, we would advise that we begin by reading through the unit content, by reading some of the assigned readings that might go with that, by listening to the YouTube videos, by, immersing yourself in the online content, first of all, and then check out the learning activities. And when you feel ready, and usually we would say, don't wait too long. It doesn't have to be perfect. Because as we say, it's not really about a right or wrong answer. It's about engagement. It's about learning. we do want to see that you have engaged with and made an attempt to thoroughly understand what we're looking at. Ideally, you should be trying to write it in a clear and concise style, because that's good practice for the writing that you have to do at the end. And what we're looking for or hoping to find is that you're, willing or making an attempt to analyze, critique, and offer kind of appropriate answers, solutions, ideas. And we also want to encourage you to be collegiate, to respond to the postings of others in the class, and, to offer and share your insights and experience with your classmates. We would advise that you complete them as you go through the module. So we don't want you to sort of wait too long, so generally speaking, the rate at which you, the sort of tempo or pace of your studies is roughly, and I think it says this in the module handbook and or module guide, roughly about, 2 to 3 weeks per unit. And sort of, so at the end of that 2 weeks or into the third, when you've finished reading through the online content and kind of got to grips with that, at that point you should be ready to do the learning activities. So don't wait too long before you you do them. Okay, that would be sort of our advice. Okay, I'm going to. Are there any questions about the learning activities just before I go on to talk about other aspects? Your tutor will normally respond to those learning activities, offer you guidance. Just in those discussion forums, a key thing to remember is you're not confined to the topics which are sort of signposted there. You can use those discussion fora to ask about anything else that you want, and there are numerous points in your unit where you can actually ask questions, and different, like there's an assignment specific discussion forum, as you know. So, and I think there's a social forum as well. So there are numerous points where you can get guidance, but don't feel constrained or restricted in terms of the learning activity discussion boards. You can ask about lots of other topics there. If they're relevant and if they're about the learning and the course, ask away. And the nice thing you can be sure about is that others will appreciate you asking that question, because they probably have it too, so anything that you're wondering can be learning for other people as well. In terms, the next piece I'd like to talk about, if there aren't any questions, is the assignment. So it may be a little bit early yet to have a look. Maybe, I'm not sure whether you'll have had a chance to actually look at the assignment or not at this stage. But the main thing I want to tell you about is I want to give you some guidance around how you might tackle it, because it can be a little bit intimidating, especially if you haven't done an academic piece of writing or tackled an assignment like this for some time. What we're doing here in this assignment, just to give you an overview and explain where we're coming from, is that it's designed in 2 parts. It is designed, the first part of it is more theoretical and the second part is a little bit more practical. And that's why it's called a portfolio assignment, because there's kind of 2 parts to it. They're of equal weight. So it's what we call a 5,000 word portfolio. And the written assignment, as I said, is in 2 parts, 2,500 words each. And this is the main way of assessing your knowledge and learning. It's through this written assignment. Now, the plus is it's not an exam. I hated exams in college. I loved when I had, in comparison to exams, I think like having the opportunity to sort of take your time, have a good think and, plan, your assignment, and you know, to be in charge of it and to be able to produce it without the pressure of an exam is wonderful. But this is the main way that we assess your knowledge and learning. Just to be clear, 50% is a pass in terms of the marks, and in terms of the bands, 50 to 59% is a pass, 60 to 69 is a merit, and above 70% is a distinction. Sometimes I suppose it's very important to have clear expectations in terms of achievement. Just to tell you, the vast majority of people will pass. A good chunk of you will get a merit, 60, 69%. The number of people who get above 70% is not huge. And that's because I'm just saying this to set people's expectations, because sometimes people will get in touch and be disappointed because they didn't get a 70% or higher, and you know, not realizing that actually to get somewhere in the mid 60s is a hell of an achievement on a master's program of this type. So just, I think it's very important to, you know, be able to celebrate your achievement, and for that you need to have clear expectations in terms of what is a really good result. So a pass is a really good result, a merit is great, fantastic result, and distinction is utterly superb. So I just want to, you know, set it in context for you. So just to begin, on your home page, your assignment is set out in two parts. There's very detailed guidance. It's called the assignment briefing part 1 and assignment briefing part 2. And when you get those, have a look at those, we give you really, really clear account of what the task is, what the learning outcomes are, and then we scaffold you with providing a suggested structure. So before you begin writing, before you begin thinking about the assignment, the most important thing is to have a very, very clear understanding of what the task is exactly. So you need to clarify and be 100% clear in your head about what is being asked of me and what am I expected to do. So the first thing you do is you have to read the assignment brief. You have to check the learning outcomes for the module. They're detailed in each of the assignment briefings. So it says what you're being assessed on. People usually think, because this is what we were used to doing, you get given an essay topic and you write to that topic. Yes, that is what you do, but you really need to, you're being assessed not on did you just answer that topic, but you're being assessed on did you meet the learning outcomes? Did you demonstrate that you have achieved every one of those learning outcomes? So if the learning outcome is to demonstrate a systematic understanding or critical awareness of X, Y, or Z issue, that's what you have to demonstrate. If the learning outcome is to demonstrate that you have engaged with relevant literature and research, you need to just go through your assignment and make sure that you are doing that. It's really important that you're very clear about what's involved. If you're in doubt, ask. As I mentioned, there's a forum for asking questions specifically to do with the assignment, and the tutor is always happy to help and to provide guidance on this. And also at the very end of the module guide, there are clear criteria and a rubric explaining exactly, you know, what's expected and how you might demonstrate it. So as I said, there's plenty of guidance up on Moodle and available from the tutors. And there's a few different things to bear in mind. One is the level. One of the things is that in terms of what's expected, it's very important to demonstrate what we call sort of critical analysis, this level of analysis and critique, which goes beyond description and shows a different level of understanding. So this is what I'm talking about when I'm saying the main issue is the level. So sometimes people are writing at an undergraduate level rather than a master's level. So master's level means that you have to show a kind of much more critical awareness, that you have to demonstrate that you have assimilated the knowledge, that you have made it your own, that you're able to critically reflect on the module content, integrate it into your own learning and practice, read the core texts and research beyond the core texts and the material, connect learning to the literature, be able to evaluate and use research to inform practice. It's not about giving back information. It's not simply about a descriptive account. It's much more about taking learning, demonstrating learning, demonstrating the ability to think about your learning, demonstrating the ability to systematically analyze and pull apart new information and build it and synthesize it into something else which demonstrates insight and understanding. So it's a different level. At undergrad, you're expected to kind of be able to take in information and give it back. At postgraduate level, it's much more about a whole different level of analysis and synthesis, which shows a totally different, deeper level of knowledge and understanding, and the ability to take that knowledge and understanding and apply it to practice. And that's why each of the assignments throughout your program have that sort of dual part. One part is more theoretical and the other part is more practical, applied, and about putting your learning into practice. In terms of, to move beyond these general sort of pointers on the assignment, in terms of the nuts and bolts of writing it, we would suggest that you start with an essay outline, and that you would use the suggested structure that we provide in the assignment briefing. You can use a different structure, but it just kind of makes it easier if you follow this one. It's kind of tried and tested. Remember that it's important to have coherence and to develop an overall argument which will sort of make your paper or your assignment flow. So kind of keep a consistency, keep a coherence. Remember that it's a narrative, that it's a story you're telling that has to kind of make sense. Group your ideas into themes and then paragraphs. Be careful to organize your argument logically. Provide signposts and explanations. Use headers so that we know kind of what's coming next in terms of the next paragraph. Explain your ideas, explain your terms. Don't presume knowledge on behalf of the reader. Headings and subheadings using introductions, conclusions, etc. will help ensure that you have a logical structure and that you cover all the different aspects that you need to in your paper. So sometimes I would suggest using the suggested structure that we have provided you up in Moodle, and those subheadings, putting them into a Word document will help you get started, and that sort of like your subheadings are kind of created nearly for you. And then you can write into that. You'll be using slightly different ones if you wish, but it helps you to sort of get started. Then develop notes for each section, group your ideas under those headings, and then flesh them out into paragraphs. Some people, whatever your style is that helps you get started, some people might use sort of, a sort of mapping thing to sort of, of ideas, to map out your ideas, or some sort of essay outline. whatever works for you, you know, that is good. But just we would suggest that you pay attention to the structure and the scaffold that we have provided. Our experience is that people who stick closely enough to that tend to do best. And remember that it was developed in order to support you and scaffold you. Remember that you have to critically evaluate and evidence all your ideas and support your inclusion, your conclusions and your ideas all the way. One way I explain this is that while you can give your opinion and make reference to your own experience, you shouldn't do that on its own, because your opinion and your experience is of value, but it's of more value if you can cross-reference it and evidence it in relation to the literature, in relation to research, in relation to other supporting facts. So, for example, one way to think about this is that you're making a case. In your assignment, you have to be persuasive. You have to make a case. You have to convince me as your reader or your tutor, as your assessor, you know, of the veracity, of the value, of the credibility of your line of argument. So in a way, you're like a lawyer in a courtroom. And so that's what you need to think of. You're Perry Mason, you're making a case, and you need evidence. You cannot, so, you know, you can't just say the majority of children with Down syndrome are visual learners. It could be true, but what's the evidence? So, you know, research has shown that the majority of children with Down syndrome are visual learners, and then open brackets, Morrison 2021, close brackets. Do you see what I mean? So you've got to provide a reference, and that is mission critical. So that's one of the places that people sometimes fall down. The other thing to say is that it's really important that you use key literature to support your ideas. So, you know, the literature that you use should be reliable, peer-reviewed, etc. It's also quite important that you don't overuse one source or the module content. That's known as source dependency. So don't just find one book or one article and write your whole assignment out of that. We need to see that you're drawing from a range of solid sources. And that then demonstrates your ability to read widely, to research appropriately, etc. As I said, generally speaking, you should avoid opinion, or if you clearly state it as such, or, you know, you can cite experience, but opinion or experience are best used in conjunction with solid, reliable sources. So, okay, the other important thing is in terms of the referencing, remember that that's Harvard style referencing. There are, I'll be giving you some links that you can use later on, but there are lots of guidance up in Moodle and cite it right. So there's UEL resources and resources up on your homepage in Moodle on how to reference. Your tutor will also give you guidance about that. In terms of writing style, you can use the first person when you're writing about your own practice. So you can say, you know, I've had, that's perfectly legitimate to, you know, use I. Sometimes people think that they have to use the sort of phrase like the author, in the experience of the author. But it's in more modern sort of academic writing style, the first person is fine. However, when you're writing about the literature that you've read, it's better practice to depersonalize your writing. So, for example, you'd say, overall, the arguments put forward by Blatchford et al. 2014 appear to be well supported. You can use phrases such as, you know, I would argue that, you know, that's fine. But that's preferable to than I think or I feel. So do you see the difference? You're sort of depersonalizing it, and you're making it sound more academic. So there's an academic tone that's important to strike in terms of writing your assignment. When you're making an argument, that suggests an evidence base. So there again, as I said, you have to provide evidence for all of your statements, and you shouldn't state anything or put anything in that isn't backed up by by data collection or by evidence. Always use the full term whenever you use it. So, for example, you wouldn't put I would say ADHD, you know, without an explanation of it being attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. So the first time you use an acronym or an abbreviation, you should always explain it, and thereafter you can use the full term. So those are really some of the key issues in terms of the in terms of writing your assignment. Let me just think now. There is a very helpful UEL resource, and I think we'll give it to you at the end. If it isn't in this PowerPoint, we'll send it on to you. It's called Write It Right. It's part of the UEL library suite of resources. That's Write It Right, and it's all about academic writing skills. And of course, we will be arranging a session in November with one of the academic writing tutors in UEL. That's Johannes Miranda. So you will have even more support. You know, this first session is really just to get you on the way. Okay, so then once you get to writing it, remember that it's not a one-time job, that it's going to need a few different goes. Essentially, you're going to have to be drafting and redrafting, editing and proofing. This is very important, and you can because sometimes people fall down on just spell checking, on proofing, on tidying it up. You run out of time at the end. So be sure to leave yourself enough time to actually, you know, produce a good enough quality presentation that reflects all the effort and time that you've put in. Don't lose those 10 or 15%, you know, with poor referencing, or don't risk academic sort of misconduct, which can happen if sometimes people forget to put in a reference and then it looks inadvertently like plagiarism. You can try and you can check out the similarity score of your paper, and this will tell you the degree to which you need to go back and tidy up your referencing by putting it in, by submitting a draft through Turnitin. Now, there is good guidance already up in Moodle on your homepage about how to check your similarity score through Turnitin and what that means. The other thing is that tutors will take drafts. But each tutor will have a different last date, you know, so they won't take, you know, drafts in the last week or the last fortnight. So, you know, it can't be, they generally will not take drafts that close to the submission date. So check with your own tutor about their policy about taking drafts. Sometimes you don't need to submit a whole draft. You might want to just submit here's an outline. Am I on the right track with this? And they'll happily give you guidance on that. Or you might even want to submit, here's a paragraph of kind of my academic writing. What do you think? Am I on the right track? and they'll happily give you guidance on that. So, you know, just check with your tutor and take advantage of their support. There are other resources here, and again, we'll be sending on this presentation to all of you, so don't worry, you'll get it. The Manchester Phrase Bank is an absolutely excellent resource. There's also this link from the University of Edinburgh on postgraduate writing, and the academic tutoring service also have from UEL also have provided a range of resources at that link. So just in terms of the academic arguments and drafting your assignment, check with the tutor, take all the advice that you can get from them, and remember that the assignment forum is there for you to ask questions and for you to get advice on. So, and don't be shy. There's no such thing as a silly question. Any of the questions that you have, you can be very sure that other people will have as well. So some extra resources there are there on the UEL website as well. And that's the academic tutor. So you can actually email the academic tutoring service and set up a session, book a session with them. And they will, if you have a particular issue, say, or are stuck on how to reference and need guidance on that, you can flag that and book a half-hour session with them. You can also, these are drop-in sessions and one-to-one appointments with academic tutors. There's also free interactive workshops available through the academic tutoring support with UEL. And those study skills are designed then to help you develop your study skill sessions. They're designed to help you develop your critical thinking skills and help you manage your time and prepare for essays. So, you know, they're a really good resource. And as I said, if you have a particular issue that you're struggling with or need help with, you can, you know, ask for specific help with that, with academic writing or English support, and they will provide you with that. And as I said, you can get a one-to-one, book a one-to-one session of half an hour or more than one session if you need it. Okay. A key issue for the assignment and in getting to grips with the academic demands of a course like this is the whole issue of academic integrity and referencing. Just to say, this seems like a very boring piece, but it's essential. I would recommend that you spend, especially if it's your first module, you know, carve out an hour or two and just get to grips with it early, because it'll save you so much time in the end. There is plenty of guidance there up in Moodle about it. There's the Cite It Right, and there's also software and shortcuts to, you know, saving your references as you go. We'll be dealing with this again. Johannes Mahanda will also be giving you guidance on this, so we will come back to it. But I can't emphasize enough how important it is to avoid breaching academic regulations. A breach of academic regulations is seen as poor academic conduct, and this is easy to do at the beginning by, you know, really not preparing or getting to grips with it. It's usually inadvertent and a mistake and something unintentional, but all the same, it's taken very seriously by the university, because it's important from the point of view of academic integrity that you give due pay due respect to authors. It's your responsibility to ensure that your assignment is referenced correctly to avoid plagiarism. And if there's large copies of information from other, you know, sources in your work, you'll be penalized or you could even fail. So for that reason, it's really important to reference all sources of information. And with the exception of direct quotes, which you'll put in quotation marks and give a reference and a page number for, you really need to ensure that you paraphrase all information rather than copy verbatim. And paraphrasing is a bit of a skill. It doesn't mean just changing a sentence round or changing one or two words. You really have to take someone else's ideas or concept and you really should be putting it in your own words. And that takes a little bit of practice. So it's so important that we treat the work of others with respect and in accordance with good academic practice. Now, we know that everybody isn't familiar with this, and that's why we're committed to supporting you and providing you with plenty of guidance on this so that you're able to learn the skills necessary for academic success. And so that's why, our teaching staff will always support you, will give you guidance on it. So ask if you're not sure. And there's plenty of examples and guidance up in Moodle. We're going to, and there are online links where you can practice, getting to grips with the skills of paraphrasing, with the skills of referencing correctly, etc. Okay, so what then is, that's what pure academic, you can get into trouble basically if you copy and paste, if you don't reference properly, if you over rely on certain sources, if you use too many direct quotes, and if you don't paraphrase adequately. Plagiarism is usually inadvertent. Nobody wants to do this, but that's why it's really important that you learn what's expected, that you learn how to reference properly, how to paraphrase properly, and practice referencing and cross-check. And so those, that YouTube guide is an excellent one, which you can access through the UEL website, and also Cite 'em Right. That's a fantastic resource. So just we're flagging this early because it's so important, and we're also saying that it's quite important that you can, the other, I suppose, way that you can check out whether you're on the right track is to submit your draft assignment through Turnitin, and that way it will check if it will catch any inadvertent bits that you need to paraphrase or reference more accurately. In terms of presentation and submission, these are minor enough pieces, but still important, because presentation is important, because being able to present your work, your ideas, your concepts properly is about communicating ideas, and it's also a part of your academic skill set. So, and it's the way a lot of people can lose marks, as I said, inadvertently by not paying enough attention to good presentation. So for administrative purposes, it's quite important that you put your page number and student number on every page at a minimum, and these also go on the cover sheet of your student number should also go on the cover sheet of your paper. Be careful not to put your name on the paper. It should be anonymized, so don't put your name, just put your student number on the paper. That's the font which is recommended, and as I said, the submission should be anonymous, no name on your paper. Stick to the word count. Plus or minus 10% is okay, but you should be not, and your reference list is not included, quotes are not included, but you should be within, plus or minus 10% of the recommended word count. In terms of direct quotes, don't use huge big blocks of text. You may quote a definition or two, but we would be saying, for each part 1 or part 2 of your assignment, no more than 4 to 5 direct quotes per assignment, or per, part 1 or part 2. If you're using too many direct quotes, is kind of seen as academic laziness, really. So, because you should be able to paraphrase most of it and if you're using a direct quote, there should be a really sound rationale for it, a really good reason. Carefully spell check and proofread. I cannot emphasize that enough. And as I mentioned before, early submission will, through Turnitin, will catch any issues with high similarity scores and allow you to rectify those. Okay. Right. So in terms of other resources, the UEL library and the librarian are there to support you. There are lots of resources to support your academic writing too in the UEL library. And if you're looking for a particular text or access to literature on a specific type of approach or intervention, WinPang is the academic services librarian for this program, and you can email Win directly, and I know she'll be very, very happy to help you. So that's just in terms of the library. Then in terms of other supports available to you, we you can contact the academic advisor service, and administrative supports are there. Antoinette is there to help you. The library is there to support you. There's the UEL Student Hub as well, the UEL IT service desk if you have you know, issues with accessing either the library in say UEL or other aspects of the UEL website. And of course, the ICEP Europe IT support email is there. And your tutor and myself, Sophia, your tutor, and your all the academic staff are also there to support you. So that's just to alert you to all the different types of supports that are available to you to help you be successful in your studies. I suppose the other piece is that we're very interested in hearing from you about your experience, because your experience helps us improve teaching and learning with the help of your feedback. And there are different ways in which we look to get your feedback, through questionnaires, through surveys. There's a midpoint evaluation. Midway through your module, we post a survey and ask for your feedback. And we also have a program committee, and we invite students who would be interested to you know, act as class reps or student reps for the program. So if any of you are interested in doing this, please let us know. And we're anxious to, you know, we ask every new cohort for a few volunteers for this role. It's a very important role, but it isn't too onerous. It simply is maybe 1-2 meetings a year, and just, you know, being a sort of conduit for feedback and issues, you know, for your classmates. So that brings me really to the close of this presentation. So I'm just open now to taking any questions that you might have. And yeah, just hope that that was helpful, and would love to hear any questions that you might have. I see that Aisling has asked a question here in the chat. Oh my God, there's a lot going on in the chat, and I was so busy talking to you that I didn't see. Tanya, yeah, I'm just reading through this. Bear with me a minute. In terms of the plagiarism percentage, it's not like there's a percentage which is okay. Though if you're over 30, Okay, when you go in, if you've done the similarity thing before, has anyone ever used Turnitin before? Or something like it? If you have, you'll notice that it's kind of color coded, and when you go over a certain percentage, it turns red. And when you're in the okay range of similarity, it's kind of green. I would say keep it as low as possible. But remember, when you go in, you can exclude block quotes and you can exclude your reference list. So it should be low enough, basically. Certainly if you're over 20, 30, it's hard to say because sometimes it's not a plagiarism score, it's a similarity score, okay? And just because something is similar doesn't mean that you've plagiarized it. But generally the guidance is keep it as low as possible. I'm just going through here, and Sophia has explained that there is if you need an extension for any reason, and it's important to read the guidance on extenuation. So extenuate and extensions, you can apply for a week-long extension, which without any big deal. I think you can get one of those per year. Is that right, Sophia? You might confirm. But if you need a longer extension than a week, you need to apply for extenuating circumstances. And the email has been put up there in the chat. Ashling is asking about the modules being worth the same weighting. And Sophia has answered that. They're all equally weighted, with the dissertation counting as double. And the question is asked about the student numbers. Thank you for putting that in. Sophia, can you answer that question about student numbers? Sorry, Sophia, I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now? Sorry. I'm
Yes, I
not
can
sure
hear you now, Sophia.
my audio is clear.
I can hear you now, Sophia.
Yeah, I can send. Right. I can send these student numbers to people directly if they don't have them. I'll just put my email address in the chat, and you can get in touch then.
That's great, Sophia. So Sophia, just in case it wasn't clear, Sophia just said that if you contact her directly, now you can contact her at s.diver. She's going to put her email in the chat at isepi.eu, or you can contact the academic advisor. If anyone wasn't clear about their student number, we'll send it on to you directly. Okay. So everybody will have a student number. I'm just going to stop screen sharing now. Figure out how to do that. Okay. All right. Now, all of you will be sent copies of that presentation. And as I said, for anybody who had to leave early or anybody who wasn't able to make this session, we will, it is being recorded. So everybody will have access to it. I'm just wondering, are there any other questions? Yes, Young.
Just wondering, every module all 5,000 writing, a two-part.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
I
right.
see. So
That's right.
this is my first module, so I have no idea what's like other module.
Sure.
And
No, each module, there's a 5,000 word assignment at the end of each module. And so each module is designed so that we've made them all kind of very like each other so that each time you're building more practice, okay? So although they are a bit different, they follow a very similar format. And 2,500 words in each of the two parts. First part is tend to be more about the theory, the models, the background. Second part is usually about selecting some evidence-based interventions and talking about or researching how you might put those into practice. So that's the way we have done it. So that could be about dyslexia or autism or inclusion. So we kind of try to do it so that you can build on your learning as you go and you're developing skills in each module, which will also be of use in the next module. Do you know?
Right. And another question is, they have several modules, so I can choose. But if some of the module, if I choose first module, example, if I couldn't able to finish or passed, I can't able to do another module.
Yeah, you can. So you can fail a module and go on and do another. You don't have to, or you could, essentially, usually if you have difficulty doing a module, most people will, or if something happened and you couldn't complete it, sometimes people get an extenuation or they may need to resubmit, and that's fine. You can be resubmitting for one module and begin another. It doesn't stop you. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And the last question is, I read about some area, but I can't remember where exactly the information I found it. In my head, I saw if I finish one module, something like I can get a certificate. 2 or 3 module finish, I can have a diploma, and after 4 module finish, I can have a master.
Okay, I'll explain. Yeah.
Yeah.
2 modules, you can exit with a diploma. 4 modules, and you can exit with, 2 modules, you can exit with a certificate.
2
4
modules.
yes, that's a certificate, a postgraduate certificate. 4 modules is a postgraduate diploma, and the master's is 4 taught modules and the thesis. Okay? So in order to do the master's, you have to do the 4 taught modules and the thesis. However, you are not allowed to collect all of the qualifications as you go. You're supposed to, thank you for typing that in there. It's in Sophia has put it in the chat there. So you can go away after the certificate and come back and say, by the way, I want to do the master's now. Officially, you're expected to hand back your certificate. What this means is that in academic rules, you're not allowed to have multiple qualifications from the one course of study. Does that make sense? You're not allowed to have one program and have 3 qualifications from it. You're supposed to just do the master's or just do. But I'm getting a bit technical now. Does that make sense to you, Young?
Yeah, but I read about slightly different information. That is, I want to double check. It's supposed to be, if I want to do a master, supposed to be 6 module.
That's right. It is
Plus-
6 because
yes.
what that means is 4 taught modules. 4 of the electives is what that means. And then the 6 modules is the research module counts as 2.
Oh,
Okay. So we
right.
teach you research methods and you write your thesis, and that's a double module. So it counts as 2.
Okay.
So
'Cause
that's
one-
why, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, because some of the information they mention about 4 module finish master, because something
No.
they said change new. Okay, maybe I
No, not on this
misunderstood.
program. No, it wouldn't be 4 modules, would not be the masters. No,
Right.
no.
So because they said that they change something like a new news somewhere I read maybe I should do digging again somewhere. So maybe I little bit mixed
Yeah,
up.
no, sorry. That'd be very fast track. No, no,
Right,
no,
right,
no.
right.
Does that answer your questions, Young?
Yes, yes. Thank you so much.
Not
Thank
at
you.
all. Pretty, you have some questions. You just need to unmute there. Yeah,
Hi, thank you again for this most useful information.
no problem.
Just wanted to check 2 things. One was somewhere in the beginning about writing assignments and turning it into Turnitin. We cannot put in, it's obviously anonymous, just the student number. So would it be, I mean, is there a place where I can see how we can just put in a student number as and when I get the student number from Sophia?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you just put your student number on the, I don't think in order to upload it to Turnitin, I don't know that you have to put in your student number, but when you're putting in your assignment proper, you have to, okay? And it has there's a cover sheet. And there is full instructions at the bottom of your home page on how to, and there's a little video and everything. So you won't be left wondering, Pretty. It's very clear. If you have any questions at all, just drop the support email. Just email support and Michael will help you through and it will explain exactly how to do that.
I have one more quick question,
No
please.
problem.
And that is the dates for the end of this what do we call it, semester, would be December 1st. We finish, I mean, we're not in the semester anymore. Assignments are due January 2nd. So are we allowed to send in, will the tutors check any draft assignment, anything that I'd like to send in that period? Or is it a holiday? Is it?
Well, that's what I was saying. Basically, usually it's before that 1st of December that, you know, like, but each of the tutors will have their own
Yes.
final date for draft. What module are you on, Pretty?
We're on, I'm on the inclusion and.
Yeah, okay. So and your Valerie is your tutor, is that right? So
Yeah.
just Valerie is very facilitative, but you know, each tutor taking drafts is actually kind of in lots of programs people don't take drafts at all. So it's kind of, you know, above and beyond. So I'd say just get in onto Valerie and say, look, Valerie, when is the last date you'll accept it by? And she'll be very clear about that.
Thank you. So it's with individual, I mean, tutors that we.
Yeah, I would say to you, it's important to check early on if you want to get that. So you don't, the last thing you want, and what I'm saying to you is don't think that your draft has to be perfect to give it in. You're not,
yeah,
you know, you want to know, am I on the right tack or whatever? Because sometimes people think, oh, I'm doing this, and they find them, now very rarely, but sometimes people can misread or misinterpret. And that's why it's really great to, and as I say, you could even do an introduction or the first few pages of your assignment and say, look, this is where I've gotten. What do you think? And that'll be really, really helpful.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You've answered my question.
No problem at all, Pretty. Okay, I'm just wondering if anyone has any other questions.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I would like to ask something possible.
Please do.
Hello, everybody. First of all, thank you for all the useful information.
No problem.
Just one thing. I'm just so scared of this plagiarism thing. I don't know. I'm really overstressing it, and I just wanted to ask. So if it shows green, then I should be fine.
Oh
That
yeah,
means.
no, generally, but also if you're panicked, right, just check with the tutor.
And she
Right?
checks also if I sent her, like, because I'm actually almost done with the first one because I studied a lot. I really like.
Good girl, that's great.
I was kind of overstressing it, I think, and I just wanted to really try myself if I can do it. I'm
Yeah.
sure it's not complete. It's just like really just a draft, but I know what I want to do, and I kind of did it. But I see that this referencing, I'm like really having a hard time, and she checks that too if I turn.
Yeah,
that.
if you say, look, would you have a look at my referencing or whatever, what do you think? But the other thing is you can set up a session with the academic tutoring service. Isn't that right, Sophia, in UEL? So they will, if you contact them, and we did have that email is there, I think, so on the presentation. So you can set up a session with them and you can send forward your assignment to them.
Oh, okay. That's
Okay.
Yeah, because there are some, like you can do it many ways. How to, for example, use insight that in the text, and also I have some. Yeah, I just want to do it really right.
But when someone is correcting your thing, if you're missing a full stop or if you make a minor thing, right? No one is going to, like, what I'm saying is, generally speaking, referencing is a little bit like a grammar. If you learn the rules, so it's Harvard. Now, there are different ways of doing Harvard,
Yeah,
but generally,
I did this before. I did APA.
yeah,
before.
I did APA as well. So, it is a little
I'm
bit, but
scared
they're not 100 miles away from each other,
Yes, I know.
You'll be fine. You'll be fine, but check it out with your tutor, or I would say it's probably worthwhile getting that academic, setting up a session with the academic tutors, and Sophia has put that link
All
in
right.
there.
Okay.
To
Thank
the
you
thing.
so much. Thank you, and thank you for everything.
Not at all, Aniko. Hi, Aisling. You've a question there.
Yes, I was hoping to do the dissertation module in the May term, but I was just wondering, is that going to be a problem if the schools are closed, if I won't be able to will I need to be doing research in school for that dissertation, or?
So if you start in May, now I'm just trying to figure, so it's when would you be submitting? When's the submission date for that? I'm trying to figure out now.
I would say it's probably the beginning of August. I don't know for sure though.
No, it's over 2 terms. Sophia, can you confirm when they, because if you do the dissertation module is taught over 2 terms, unlike all of the other
yes.
modules which are taught over, which are 1. So I think that you wouldn't be submitting until
Oh yeah, then I'll be
December
submitting the start of
or the
December,
1st of January. So that would January 2024. That's right. So it's the first week of January that you would submit. So therefore, it would depend. Like there's a couple of things. But there's lots of different options when it comes. So you will have time to do your literature review. You'll have time to get it through your ethics. You'll have time to design your methodology. You would not want a very long time for data collection or data analysis. So because your window is going to be that September, October-y time. But you cut your cloth. So we would generally advise that people do not, that you pay a lot of attention to the ethical constraints. So I would say, now David Barra is the module lead for that. So he'll advise you. You just want something that's doable. I always say when it comes to the thesis, your job is not to, find the cure for autism. Your job is not to solve the biggest problem in the school. Your job is to do a good enough thesis. And therefore, it's about doability and feasibility. So it's as long as you have access to your your population or whatever you want to do your thesis on for enough time to collect your data, you should be fine.
Okay, so if I was kind of collecting my data September, October, that shouldn't be a problem.
No, as long as you don't make it too unwieldy for yourself.
Okay,
You know?
no, that's great. Thank you very much.
No bother, Aisling. Okay, just wondering if anyone has any other questions. Young and Aisling, I think I've answered your questions. And if there are other, sorry?
Yeah, sorry about that. I just wonder the Turnitin somewhere I can practice the testing Turnitin.
You can test Turnitin on your homepage,
Oh.
module homepage down at the bottom. So you go to the assignment link and where it says submit your assignment here, and you can start playing with it there. And if you want, there's a video and there are links. There's a whole explanation online about how to try it out, how to submit through Turnitin. And if you have questions about it, once you've read through the guidance on Moodle, you can contact support@icepi.eu and Michael will happily guide you through that, Young.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
So you just get to grips with it, play with it a bit yourself, try it with a little bit of text even, okay? And then you'll get an idea. That's a very good idea, actually. And doing it well in advance of your assignment will get you familiar with it. So that's a good idea. Okay. Right. Any other questions, folks? If there are other questions that arise or that you think of after this session, please, just email the academic advisor email and we'll be very happy to take them, or email me or Sophia directly and we'll be happy to help you in any way we can. The important thing is that you know that we're here to support you and that that's our job, is to ensure your success and that you enjoy your learning and get the most out of it. So that's what we're here for. So don't be left wondering, don't be shy. Ask me, ask Sophia, ask your tutor, and we will do everything we can to help you. So I do hope that we've answered queries that you might have and that we've helped get you on the road. As we would say in Ireland, may the wind be in your sails now, and may you, wish you all the best in this journey. And yeah, and just thank you so much for coming along this evening. And I hope that it's been helpful. So the next session that you'll have that will be here to support you will be the session with Johannes Miranda. We'll be sending you out an email on that, and that's going to be held, I think, that towards the end of November. So thank you very much all. And yeah, we look forward to seeing you again at the next academic advisor session with Johannes. So thank you very much, everybody.